Okay, thank you so much for taking time out of your day for me to be able to do this with you. Would you mind introducing yourself first, just so everyone knows a little bit about you?
Sure. So I'm Bev Weir. I've been a school counsellor for about 18 years. Prior to that, I was a science teacher, mainly science. So as a counsellor, we do all sorts of schools, from work with kinder to year 12. And currently I'm working in a school for specific purposes, disabilities. So prior to that, I was in a behaviour school.
Yep, perfect. Thank you so much. Firstly, I sent you through some questions, so thank you so much for, again, taking your time to read them. We'll jump straight into it. So the first question is, can you explain what ODD is, Oppositional Defiant Disorder, and how it manifests in individuals?
So coming from a psychologist's point of view, so sorry if it's a bit technical, but just in that the diagnosis comes from the DSM, which is the diagnostic manual, based on the behaviours. So there's actually, the cause is unknown for the disorder, and so the symptoms generally begin before a child is 8 years of age, and to do mainly with defiance and disobedience. So it's grouped under the category of disruptive, impulse control and conduct disorders. So it's in that grouping.
Okay.
And you're looking for angry, irritable mood, argumentative and defiant behaviour, aggression and vindictiveness, which occur for at least 6 months. So this is diagnosed by a paediatrician. As school counsellors, we gather observations, do assessments with teachers, parents, but it's the paediatrician who looks at the manual and gauges whether it is or isn't going to be called ODD. It's often commonly connected with depression and with attention problems.
Yeah.
So
interesting in saying that the paediatrician is the one that diagnoses it in that sense, which is very, very interesting.
Yes.
Also, in saying that, do you you being in classrooms? Do you find that there's any in particular between girls having this disorder and also boys having this disorder as well? Or do you think that there's more boys or more girls that you've noticed? Or
certainly coming through over the years, it's boys who get the stamp.
Yeah.
But as I said, it is connected with the comorbid with other disorders. So,
very interesting, isn't it? Like how it affects some genders, more prominent. I know in the research that we have, we found that it's more prominent in boys as well, as you said. So it's very interesting in that sense as well.
Yes. So just in terms of the manifesting, I guess the difficulty in the classroom is going to be difficult to manage, difficult to discipline, difficult to please often. I think families would experience that as well as school environment and peers. But the arguments are often with adults. It tends to be more an authority issue. So arguing and opposing, defying authority, and tendency to deliberately annoy or be easily annoyed. And they do specify that it's not necessarily with a sibling, probably because that's fairly generic, but just the idea of being the annoyance, the irritability, the anger, the resentment, even spiteful and vindictive. So it sort of creates a profile of a bit of a monster. But in fact, children with ODD, if they're managed well and if they're understood, it doesn't have to be, a disastrous thing. But as I said, it's often connected with the ADHD, which is sometimes then medicated, and it can be connected with the learning disabilities and the difficulties and communication difficulties.